So anyway, back in 2012, I had this old Ford Explorer. You know, the boxy kind that smelled like pine air freshener and regret. I drove up to this trailhead in late October, leaves all over the ground, and I remember somebody that I used to know was playing on my scratched iPod. I mean, I was 22, thought I was invincible. I hiked in maybe 2 miles, found a flat spot near a creek, and set up my tent. I didn't know then that those little plastic boxes were already watching me back. While gathering firewood, I noticed something weird. Strapped to a tree about 10 feet from my campsite, a small gray camera, like a trail cam. I looked around. There were 3 more, all aimed at the clearing. I remember thinking, probably just hunters or grad students. Wildlife study, right? So anyway, I shrugged it off, made a fire, ate cold beans straight from the can. The wind made the pines rustle, but that was just autumn. I crawled into my sleeping bag and stared at the tent ceiling. The cameras didn't bother me. I mean, they should have. I woke up to a snap. Not a twig breaking far away. Close, like someone stepped right on a dry branch just outside my tent. I held my breath. And then I heard footsteps. Slow, deliberate, circling. You know that feeling when your brain screams at you to move, but your body won't? Yeah. I just lay there, staring at the nylon wall. The footsteps stopped right behind my head. I could see the silhouette of boots through the fabric. No, wait, that's stupid. It was dark. My headlamp was flickering because the batteries were almost dead. But I felt someone standing there. I whispered, "Hello?" Silence. Then another snap, farther this time. I unzipped the tent a crack. Cold air rushed in. I pointed the headlamp out. Nothing. Just trees. Dark. I mean, dark like you forget exists when you live in a city. I called out again. No answer. So anyway, I zipped back up and told myself, it's just a deer, maybe a coyote. But yeah, that didn't help, because the footsteps came back. And then they kept going for another hour. Slow circles, pause, circle. I checked my flip phone. No signal, of course. 3:17 a.m. I remember that. I guess I fell asleep eventually from sheer exhaustion. But right before I did, I heard something else. Not footsteps. A whisper. So faint I couldn't tell if it was real or in my head. It said my name, I think. And then nothing. I woke up at dawn, stiff and cold. The first thing I did, check the nearest camera. It was still there, blinking a little red light. Like that thing had been recording all night. My hands shook while I popped out the SD card. I mean, I don't even know why I did it. Curiosity? Stupidity? I went back to my tent, pulled out my old Dell Inspiron laptop, Windows 7, battery that lasted maybe 40 minutes, and slid the card in. The footage was grainy, black and white. At first, it was just my tent. For hours, nothing moved. Then, around 3:17 a.m., I saw myself. The camera had an angle right through the tent wall. No, wait, it was outside. But I could see my sleeping bag, my silhouette rolling over. And then, overlaid on the video in blocky white text, like someone had typed it straight onto the recording. You chose our spot. You have 2 hours to pack your tent. So anyway, I just stared, rewound, played it again. The text appeared exactly at 3:17, the same time I heard the footsteps, the same time I thought I heard a whisper. I closed the laptop. The lid made a metallic click that sounded way too loud in the morning silence. I told myself, maybe it's a prank. Some campers with too much time. But my stomach was already turning. I looked out the tent flap at the other cameras. They were all watching me. Every single one. I didn't wait 2 hours. I started packing right then. And then I just started throwing everything into my pack. I didn't even fold the tent. Just ripped the stakes out, shoved the whole wet nylon ball into the bag. My sleeping bag was still inside. Didn't matter. Every time I heard a rustle from the trees, I flinched. The ground was damp from overnight dew, and that smell of wet leaves, that rot smell, was everywhere. I couldn't breathe. You know how you fumble with zippers when you're scared? Yeah. I dropped my headlamp twice. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely tie my boots. And then I saw another camera on a tree maybe 20 feet away. I walked over. The SD card slot was empty. Someone had already taken it. Or maybe it never had one. I didn't stick around to figure it out. I slung my pack over my shoulders. That's when I noticed my stainless steel water bottle was gone. The dented one I'd had for years. I looked around the campsite. Nothing. I thought maybe I'd dropped it. I'll get a new one. But I knew I hadn't. I'd used it last night. Left it right next to the tent. So anyway, I ran, not walked. Ran. The trail was marked with blue blazes on the trees, and I just followed them like my life depended on it. Branches whipped my face. My boots slipped on wet leaves. I guess I made it about a quarter mile before I stopped to catch my breath. And then I heard it. Footsteps. Behind me. Not running, just walking. Steady. I didn't look back. I just kept going. It took me almost 2 hours to get back to the parking lot. I was soaked in sweat. My legs were burning, and my lungs felt like they were full of glass. The parking lot was empty, except for my Ford Explorer. And then I saw them. 2 men, standing next to a beat-up 1990s Chevrolet Silverado. Dark green jackets, no logos, nothing to say who they were. And a dog. Big dog, some kind of shepherd mix, sitting perfectly still between them. The dog didn't growl, didn't move, just stared at me. One of the men held up my water bottle, the dented one. He said, "Calm as anything, you forgot your canteen." We brought it back. Then the other one added, "Next time, don't come back." So anyway, I just stood there. My brain was screaming. The dog's breath smelled sour, like something dead. I could hear my own footsteps on the gravel as I walked toward them, like I was in a dream. I grabbed the bottle. The man let go without a fight. I said something stupid like, "Thanks?" I don't even remember. But yeah, I didn't thank them. I just got in my truck, locked the doors, started the engine. The men were already back in their Silverado. The dog hopped into the bed. They didn't follow me. They didn't have to. I told myself, they must be forest rangers. Just a weird warning. That's what you do, right? You make excuses. But my hands were still shaking when I put the truck in reverse. I drove for about 20 minutes before I had to pull over. My stomach was turning. I got out, fell to my knees on the shoulder, and vomited into the weeds. The taste was metallic. Everything smelled like fear sweat. I sat there for a minute, breathing. I checked the water bottle. It was mine. Same dents, same scratches. But something was wrong. The dents were in different places. Like, I remember dropping it on a rock last summer. That dent was on the bottom. Now it was on the side. I turned it over and over. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I tried to call 911. Nokia bar phone, the indestructible kind. No signal. Of course, I was still miles from town. I threw the phone on the passenger seat next to an empty energy drink can. Just sat there with the engine off. The silence was so loud, I could hear my own heartbeat. I guess I stayed there for an hour, maybe more. I kept telling myself I'm overreacting. They were just asshole locals. But you know that feeling when you know something is wrong and no amount of logic fixes it? Yeah. I finally started driving again. Every time I looked in the rearview mirror, I expected to see a dark green jacket, or a dog, or nothing at all, which was somehow worse. When I got home, I didn't sleep. I just sat in my apartment with all the lights on, staring at that water bottle. So anyway, that was 2012. It's 2013 now. I've got an apartment in town, a lease I signed in January. I told one friend what happened. He laughed and said it was probably a LARP group. You know, live action role play, people pretending. I wanted to believe him, but yeah, I went back to the trailhead with the police 2 weeks later. No cameras, no SD cards. The one I'd taken? It showed only static. The water bottle? Back to my old dented one, dents in the right places. The cops shrugged, said I probably scared myself. Filed no report. I mean, I get it. There's no proof. I've read Reddit threads about missing hikers, about people who vanish in those woods. But that's just the internet. The thing is, I still wake up at 3:17 a.m. every night. Not always, but enough. My heart pounds. I listen. Sometimes I hear a rustle outside my apartment window. Sometimes it's just the building settling. But other times, I can't tell. I tell myself, maybe it was all in my head. But I don't believe it. And I haven't been camping since. You know, I still think about that morning sometimes. The way the sun came through the trees, the smell of damp earth after a little rain the night before. It was summer 2011, and me, Leo, and Tom had been hitting the state forest for weeks with our metal detectors. Just stupid kids, you know? Looking for old coins, maybe a Civil War button, something to post online. We parked my Ford Explorer at the old logging road, and then we walked maybe 20 minutes in. My detector started buzzing over this weird patch of dirt. No reason for it to be there. I mean, we were nowhere near any old foundations. Leo called Tom over. They started digging with a camping shovel. That's when we hit concrete. So anyway, we cleared off the leaves and moss, and there it was. A rusted iron door, flat against the ground, with a handle you'd see on a ship. Tom said it looked like a bomb shelter. I thought maybe an old storm cellar from the 70s. Probably just some guy's root cellar that got forgotten. That rusty iron door should have stayed buried, and I should have walked away right then. But I didn't. Leo pulled the handle. It opened with this low, metallic groan. And there were steps going down into the dark. And then we went down. Stupid, right? But you would have done the same. I mean, 3 guys in their early 20s with nothing better to do. Tom went first, with his phone light. The steps were concrete, solid. And then we were inside. The first thing I noticed was the smell. That heavy, cold, metallic smell like blood and dust and old gun oil all mixed together. And silence. Like, not regular silence. The kind where your ears start ringing because there's absolutely no sound. The room was maybe 15 feet by 15, shelves along every wall, canned food, Hormel beans, chili, Spam, cases of water bottles. And then I saw the guns. 3 rifles, a shotgun, boxes of ammunition stacked like bricks. In the corner, a Kenwood radio. Old, but clean. You know, at first I thought it was cool, like something from a movie. Leo started laughing, saying we'd hit the jackpot. Tom found sleeping bags rolled up in plastic. And that's when it hit me. These weren't old. The cans had dates from this year. The batteries in the radio were fresh. I whispered that we should leave. Leo said I was being paranoid. He held up a jar of peanut butter and joked that the guy who built this probably never came back. Doomsday prep that got forgotten, right? People do that. Build bunkers and then die in a hospital somewhere. But I kept looking at the floor. There were footprints in the dust, not ours. 4 different sets. And they were fresh. We got out of there fast. I mean, not running, but fast. Back up the steps into the sun. It was still afternoon. Leo lit a cigarette. Tom said we should take something. Just 1 can is proof. I told him no. Something felt wrong. So anyway, we started walking back toward the Explorer. The forest was quiet. Too quiet. I kept looking over my shoulder. Leo asked if I was okay. I guess I said yeah. Then I heard it. A crack behind us, like someone stepping on a dry branch. I turned. Nothing but trees. Probably just a deer, I told myself. Or another detectorist. The forest is public, right? People hike there. We walked faster. Another crack. Closer. This time Leo heard it too. He stopped joking. Tom's face went pale. But yeah, we kept moving. I didn't want to be the one to say run. Because running means something's after you. The pine smell was so strong. I don't know why I remember that. Just thick, heavy pine. And then footsteps, not animal footsteps. Boots. Multiple sets. And they weren't trying to be quiet anymore. Leo grabbed my arm. He didn't speak. He just pointed behind us. I turned, and I saw them. I turned around, and there they were. 4 figures in camo, maybe 50 yards back. Not running, not yelling, just walking. Steady, with rifles. I mean, my blood went cold. Tom had his red Wolverine boots all caked in mud from running earlier, and I remember thinking how stupid that was to notice. But yeah, they were cutting off the path to the road. They knew exactly where we were going. Leo said we should just explain. Maybe they just want to ask what we were doing in there, right? Maybe they're just protective of their property. I almost believed that for half a second. Then one of them raised a gun. We ran. Into the trees. No trail, no plan. Just branches whipping our faces. And then I heard the footsteps behind us. Heavy, fast, crashing through the leaves, not like hunters. Like people who knew this forest. I tripped over a root, face first into the dirt. Leo grabbed my arm and pulled me up. He didn't say a word. Tom was already 20 feet ahead, yelling for us to move. That's when Leo whispered that we should split up. 3 directions. Make them choose. I wanted to say no, but there wasn't time. Tom went left. Leo went right. I went straight. The last thing I heard before I lost them was Tom screaming something, and the footsteps getting closer behind me, that sour smell of my own sweat, my own fear. I didn't look back. And then I ran until my legs gave out. I don't know how long, minutes maybe, but I couldn't hear the footsteps anymore. I was alone. There was this huge oak, must have been hundreds of years old. The base was hollowed out, like a dark mouth at the roots. I squeezed inside. The smell of rot was so strong. Wet, dead wood. Like crawling into a grave. But I didn't care. I pulled my knees to my chest and stopped breathing. Outside, I heard voices. Not loud. Whispers, but sharp. Command tones. Someone said something about the road. Another voice said to fan out. Then I heard Leo. He was begging. Please, man, we didn't take anything. Please don't. Just let us go. A thud, like a baseball bat on a pumpkin. Leo went silent. Then Tom screamed. It wasn't a word, just noise, pure terror. And then that stopped too. The whispers got closer. I could see boots through the gap in the hollow, brown boots, laced tight. They stopped right in front of my tree. And then I heard a man say, "Real quiet, check that one." I thought, if I stayed quiet enough, they'd miss me. I held my breath till my chest burned. The boots moved away. More whispers. Then a truck engine started somewhere. Doors opened, closed. The engine faded. Silence. I had my Nokia in my pocket. No signal. Not that it mattered. I couldn't move. I just sat there in the dark and the rot and waited for them to come back. I stayed in that hollow until the light outside turned gray, then black. Hours. My legs were asleep. My throat was dry. And then, from somewhere far away, maybe a mile or two, I heard one shot, just one. Then nothing. No echo, no birds. Just silence. The kind that sits on your chest. I waited longer, until I couldn't feel my fingers anymore. Then I crawled out. The forest looked normal. That was the worst part. No bodies, no blood, no drag marks. Just leaves and trees and the same damp earth under my palms. I walked back toward where we'd left the bunker. It took me an hour to find it. The iron door was covered in leaves and branches, like it had never been opened, like we'd never been there. I ran to the Explorer, drove to the police station in the next town. The lights inside were too bright, fluorescent, buzzing. I told them everything. The bunker, the family, the guns, the shot. The officer wrote things down. Then he looked at me and said, "You know, maybe your friends pranked you and ran off. Maybe you got lost and imagined things." I guess I just stared at him. They searched the forest the next morning. I went with them. We walked right over where the door should have been. Nothing but dirt and roots, no bunker, no family, no Leo, no Tom. But yeah, they never found anything. Not a single thing. After a few weeks, the police stopped returning my calls. Leo's mom came to my apartment once. She looked at me like I'd killed him myself. I mean, I get it. Two guys vanish. Their friend tells a crazy story about a secret bunker and a family in camo. No evidence, no bodies. It sounds insane. I know how it sounds. I moved to a different town in 2012. Small apartment, I put extra locks on the door. But I still wake up at 3 in the morning sometimes. I lie there and listen. One night, I could have sworn I heard a knock 3 times, slow. I got up, looked through the peephole. Nothing but the hallway lights. I never go into the woods anymore, not even city parks. Last month, I stopped at a gas station. A man in camo was pumping gas at the next pump. I froze. He turned around. "Just some old guy." He nodded at me. I got in my car and drove away with the door still open. But yeah, I still check my backseat every time I drive. And I still don't sleep through the night. I guess some doors don't stay closed, even when you bury them. So anyway, I need to start from the beginning. It was the summer of 2011, and my life had just fallen apart. Lost my job, girlfriend left, the whole cliché. I mean, I just needed to get out of the city. So I packed my old tent into my Ford Explorer and drove 2 hours north to this little lake I remembered from high school. Nobody ever went there. That was the point. I set up around 5 p.m., cooked some beans on a tiny stove, and sat by the water. The crickets were loud. The pine smell was everywhere. I remember thinking, finally, some peace. I didn't know then that the person staring at me from across the water wasn't actually there, or that I'd spend the rest of my life trying to forget a photo of my own face with its eyes closed. Anyway, dusk came fast. The lake got dark, like black glass. I was zipped up in my tent, just scrolling on my phone. when I felt this weird weight on my chest, like someone was watching me. I looked out through the mesh opening, and there it was, on the opposite shore, maybe 50 yards away. A dark shape, human-shaped, just standing there, not moving, not walking, just standing. I told myself it was probably just a tree stump or a bird blind. But stumps don't stand that straight. I stared for a full minute. The shape didn't blink, didn't shift. I mean, it was getting dark, sure. But my stomach went cold anyway. I shouted, "Hey!" My voice echoed across the water. Nothing. No answer, no movement. You know how silence can feel heavy? It was that kind of silence. I grabbed my big mag light, the heavy one. I unzipped the tent and stood outside. The air was cooler now. My feet crunched on pine needles. I shone the light across the lake. The beam hit the figure. It was definitely a person. Dark clothes, no hat, facing me, but still completely still, like a statue. I guess my brain tried to find excuses. Maybe a hunter wearing camo waiting for dawn. But hunters move, they smoke, they cough, they shift their weight. This thing just stood there. I shouted again, "Hey, you need something?" Nothing. So anyway, I made a decision. I was going to walk around the lake and confront whoever it was. The trail was narrow, maybe a 10-minute walk. I told myself it was just some drunk local playing games. I started walking. The flashlight beam bounced in front of me. The lake was to my left, dark and flat. Every few steps I'd glance across the water. The figure stayed. Didn't follow me, didn't run. Just stood there like it was waiting. I kept walking. The silence was so loud, I could hear my own heartbeat in my ears. My footsteps sounded too heavy. I mean, looking back, I should have just stayed in the tent. But you know how it is. You get angry. You don't want to be scared. You want to prove there's nothing to be scared of. So I kept going. The figure disappeared behind the trees as I got closer to the far side. I was almost there. I could see the spot where it had been standing. And then I reached the far side. I swept my flashlight over the ground. Nothing. No footprints, no cigarette butts, no gear. The damp earth was soft. You'd think there would be tracks. But there was nothing, like nobody had ever been there. I checked the trees. I checked the shoreline. I walked in a big circle. Nobody. I remember standing there, breathing hard, my light bouncing off the water. I rationalized it. You know how you do. I must have taken a wrong turn in the dark. The shape was probably just a shadow from a tree. I was tired, stressed, seeing things. I believed it too. For about 30 seconds, I started walking back to my tent. The trail felt longer now. The snap of twigs under my boots made me jump every time. The damp earth smell was stronger, like something rotting underneath. I kept my light on the path. When I finally got back to my campsite, I stopped. My tent was still there. The Coleman lantern was still hanging from the branch where I left it. But I looked across the lake, and my blood went cold. The figure was back. Same spot, same shape, same stillness. Like it had never moved. Like it had been there the whole time. I stood there for what felt like 5 minutes, just staring. The figure didn't wave, didn't approach, it just watched. I remember my hands shaking. I remember whispering to myself, "This isn't real." But it was real. And then I did something stupid. I pulled out my phone. I turned on the camera flash. And I took a picture. But yeah, I pulled out my iPhone 4. The screen was cracked from a drop a few months back, but the camera still worked. My hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped it into the water. I turned on the flash, aimed across the lake, and pressed the button. The flash lit up everything for a second. The trees, the dark water, and the figure. Still motionless, still staring. I took another photo, and another. Then I ran back to my tent. I zipped myself inside like that would do anything. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. I sat there in the dark, phone clutched in my hand. And then I heard it, a rustle. Outside the tent, somewhere in the bushes, not loud, just a soft, dry rustle, like something moving slow. I told myself it was a raccoon, maybe a possum. The woods are full of that stuff. But the rustle stopped right behind the tent wall, right where my head was. I didn't breathe. I just stared at the nylon. Nothing touched it. Nothing pushed through. But I could feel something there. You know that feeling? Like the air gets heavier. I stayed perfectly still for what felt like an hour. The rustle didn't come back. But I didn't sleep. Not 1 minute. I just sat there, phone in my hand, staring at the tent wall until the fabric started turning gray with dawn. The metallic smell of the phone, that cold battery smell, was stuck in my nose. I watched the light change, and I waited. So anyway, as soon as the sun was fully up, I opened the photo gallery. My thumb was shaking. The first picture loaded, and I didn't understand what I was seeing. The flash had caught the lake's surface perfectly. The water reflected the shore. My shore. But in the reflection, I was standing with my back to the water, facing the woods, like I had turned around. But I hadn't turned around. I was facing the lake when I took the photo. I remember that. I looked up at the real lake. My normal reflection was there, facing me like a mirror should. Then back at the phone, back at the water. They didn't match. I packed up so fast, I left my lantern hanging on the branch. I threw everything in the back of the Explorer and drove to the nearest Waffle House. I sat in a booth, ordered black coffee and scattered hash browns. The coffee tasted sour, but I drank it anyway. The lake smell was still on my boots, that wet rot smell. I kept telling myself, maybe the phone glitched. It's an old iPhone. Those cameras do weird things in low light. But I couldn't stop shaking. My hands rattled the mug. The waitress asked if I was cold. I said yes, I wasn't cold. I just couldn't make the photo make sense. And I hadn't even noticed the eyes yet. I guess, like a week later, I went to see a psychiatrist. A friend set it up, said I needed help. The doctor had this oak desk with a DSM-4 manual on it, the thick one. He flipped through it while I talked. He nodded a lot. Then he explained that I had a dissociative episode due to sleep deprivation and stress. He said I walked around the lake while sleepwalking, that I probably took the photo during a fugue state. I told him I didn't sleep that night. Not 1 second. He smiled and said that's common. Sleepwalkers often think they're awake. I asked about the photo, why the reflection showed me with my back to the water. He shrugged. Then I asked the real question. Why were the reflection's eyes closed? I hadn't noticed it until 3 days later. I zoomed in on the photo. The reflection of my face, my own face, had its eyes shut tight, like I was asleep, or pretending to be. The psychiatrist said it was pareidolia, or a camera artifact. He wrote me a prescription. I remember the whisper of his pen on the pad, the crack of his knuckles when he handed it to me. He said I'd be fine. I wanted to believe him. I really did. The psychiatrist is probably right. I was exhausted. That's what I told myself that night. But at 3 a.m., I woke up for no reason. I looked at the mirror across my bedroom. My reflection was sitting up in bed, same as me. But it was smiling, with its eyes closed. But yeah, I never camped again after that. Not once. I showed the photo to my friends. They zoomed in, passed the phone around, and said they didn't see anything strange. Just a dark lake and some blurry trees. One of them laughed and asked if I was off my meds. My therapist prescribed Xanax. I took it. It helped me sleep. But at 3 a.m. I still wake up sometimes, and there's a soft tapping on my bedroom window. Tap, 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 like a fingernail. I get up. I look outside. Nobody's there. The yard is empty. The street is quiet. I still have the photo saved on my phone. I don't look at it anymore. But sometimes, late at night, I open the folder by accident, and I swear the reflection's eyes are more closed than before, a little more each time. I tell myself I'm just paranoid. It's all in my head. But I know what I saw. And I know I wasn't asleep. I wasn't. You know, looking back, I remember the smallest things. The way the pine needles stuck to the tent floor, the smell of the woods after a light rain, Liam singing off key to that Adele song on the radio, rolling in the deep, over and over. I told him to shut it off. He just laughed. So anyway, it was late summer 2011. We'd been saving up for a weekend away. Nothing fancy. Just us, the Ford Explorer, and a 2-person tent we bought on sale. Liam said the Ozarks would be quiet, remote. No cell service, no work emails. I thought that sounded perfect. We found a spot near a creek. Not an official campground, just a pull-off and a path into the trees. Liam loved places like that. No rules, he said. I was nervous at first, but the sun was setting through the pines and everything looked golden. We set up fast, ate cold beans from the can because we forgot the camp stove. It was fine. It was fun. By 10, we were in our sleeping bags. Liam unzipped the tent to look at the stars. He said he forgot to lock the car. I told him to relax. Nobody's out here, I said. He zipped the tent back up and put his arm around me. I didn't know then that a baby's cry could be a weapon, or that by sunrise we'd be begging a stranger for a ride home. The wind picked up a little. The tent fabric rustled. I fell asleep listening to that sound. Pine and rustle. That was the last normal night I ever had. And then I woke up. It was midnight. I know because I looked at my phone. No signal, of course, but the time was there. 12:03 a.m. The air inside the tent felt cold. Liam was asleep next to me, breathing slow. Then I heard it. A baby crying. Somewhere in the woods. I lay there for a second, thinking maybe I dreamed it. But it came again. Not loud, distant, like maybe 50 meters away. I shook Liam's shoulder. Liam, wake up. He groaned, asked what was wrong. I told him to listen. We both sat there in the dark. The crying continued. It sounded raw, real, not like a recording or an animal, like an actual baby, alone in the trees at midnight. Liam whispered that maybe some camper brought a toddler. I said, who brings a toddler to the middle of nowhere and lets them cry at 1 a.m? He didn't have an answer. I guess we both wanted to believe it was nothing. But the sound didn't stop. Liam grabbed his headlamp, the Energizer one. I remember the plastic felt cold in my hands. He said we should check, just in case. I said maybe someone's lost their kid. That was the only thing that made sense, right? We unzipped the tent. The ground was damp. My shoes sank into the soil. The crying came again, and I swear it sounded closer this time, like it wanted us to follow. We walked toward the sound. Flashlights off at first, just the headlamp. I told Liam to keep the beam low. I don't know why. It just felt wrong to light up the whole forest. The crying led us through a thicket of low branches. I remember stepping on a fallen oak with white rot. The wood crumbled under my shoe. I almost fell. Then the sound shifted. It was behind us now. Not far, just different. Liam stopped. He said maybe we passed it. So we turned around, walked back toward the tent, or where we thought the tent was. The crying started again, but from the left. I said, that doesn't make sense. Liam called out, hello? Into the dark. His voice sounded thin. The crying stopped for a second. Then it resumed from a different direction, farther away, like it was moving. I looked at my phone. 12:45 a.m. Battery at 40%, no signal. The woods looked the same in every direction. Same pines, same shadows. Liam said maybe the sound was echoing off the bluffs. I nodded. I mean, that could happen, right? But I didn't feel any wind. And the crying was too clear, too direct. We kept walking. The crying moved again, always ahead of us, always just out of sight. I tripped on a root. Liam caught my arm. He whispered that we should go back. I said I didn't know where back was. The tent was gone. The creek was gone. Just trees and the dark and that sound. And then the crying stopped. Completely. But yeah, that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the silence. And then the whisper. Not a baby's whisper, a man's. From somewhere in the trees. So low I almost didn't hear it. They're close. So anyway, after that whisper, we ran. Not in a straight line. Just anywhere. Branches hit my face. My lungs burned. Liam kept grabbing my arm, pulling me left or right. I didn't know which way was which anymore. Then we stopped. Both of us bent over, gasping. Silence. No whisper. No crying. Just my heartbeat in my ears. Liam whispered that we needed to find the tent. I said I didn't know where it was. He said we'd left a trail. Footprints. Broken branches. I told him to look around. We were standing in a small clearing. Same pines, same mossy rocks. And then I saw it. A branch on a low oak. Snapped in half. Fresh break. Liam had done that. He marked it when we first left the tent. But we were standing right next to it. We'd walked in a circle. And then the crying started again. Louder now. From up on a ridge above us. I looked at my phone. 2:15 a.m. battery at 12%. No signal. Liam said it's a recording. Someone's screwing with us. I wanted to believe that. I mean, a recording made sense. But who would do that? Out here at 2 in the morning? The crying didn't stop. It just sat there on the ridge, waiting. I said we should go toward it, not because I wanted to help a baby anymore, because I wanted to see who was making the sound. I wanted to see a face, anything. Liam nodded. We started climbing the ridge. The ground was soft, rotting leaves, that smell, damp and old, like something had been dead there a long time. Halfway up, I stepped on a root. My ankle twisted. I felt something pop. I went down hard. Liam caught me. He said I needed to rest. I said we didn't have time. The crying stopped. 2 minutes of dead silence. No wind, no insects, nothing. Then it started again, from behind us, down in the clearing. And then I heard footsteps. Not mine, not Liam's. Heavy, slow, coming up the ridge. I froze. Liam pulled me behind a boulder. My ankle screamed. He put his hand over my mouth. His hand was shaking. The footsteps stopped. Then the crying cut off, abruptly, like someone hit a mute button. And then I heard laughing, not loud, low, amused, like they'd been watching us for hours. 3 different directions, left, right, behind us, all around. Liam squeezed my arm. I could feel his pulse. Fast, too fast. The laughing stopped. Then a crackle, static. A speaker powering on. The baby's cry played again, just a few seconds. Then it stopped. A man's voice, calm, like he was ordering coffee. "They're close." I saw something then. A small blue light, faint, coming from behind a pine tree about 20 meters away. An LED on a portable speaker, one of those Bluetooth ones. Liam saw it too. He whispered that it's a prank. College kids. I wanted to believe him. I mean, college kids would explain the recording, the laughing, the speaker. But college kids don't hide in the Ozarks at 2 a.m. College kids don't whisper they're close from 3 directions at once. The speaker crackled again. The crying played. Then the man's voice again. Closer this time. Right there. I smelled something. Cigarettes. Cheap ones. Marlboro Reds. The smell was strong. Close. Like someone had just lit one a few feet away. Liam pulled me up. He said we had to run. I couldn't run. My ankle was gone. The laughter came back. Louder now. And I saw them. Shapes between the trees, 3 of them. Just standing there. Watching. One of them stepped forward. Something metal in his hand caught the moonlight. I heard a snap. A twig breaking right next to us. Liam turned around, and the man behind us said, "Boo." And then the headlights exploded. High beams, an ATV engine revving. The whole clearing turned white. I couldn't see, just shadows. 3 shapes walking toward us, slow, easy. My eyes adjusted. They were wearing masks. One was Michael Myers, the white mask from the Halloween movies. Another had a pig face, pink rubber, snout. The third was plain white. No features, just eye holes. The one with the pig mask carried a tire iron. He tapped it against a rock. Crack, crack, crack. The one with the speaker was Michael Myers. He held it up, pressed a button. The baby cried for 1 second. Then he stopped it. He said, "It worked. Take everything valuable." His voice was the same one from the speaker. Calm, bored. I didn't scream. Liam didn't scream. We just stood there. Hands up, like that would help. Pig mask came first. He grabbed Liam's backpack, ripped it open, dumped out clothes, found the wallet, the phone, the keys to the Explorer. Plain white mask came to me. He smelled like sweat, something sour, adrenaline. He pulled my purse off my shoulder, took my phone, my wallet, my grandmother's ring. I opened my mouth to say something. He put a finger up to where his lips would be. Liam's watch was next. A silver fossil. His dad gave it to him. Pig mask yanked it off. Didn't even look at it. Then Michael Myers stepped close. He held the speaker up to my face. Pressed play. The baby cried. 2 inches from my nose. He laughed. Turned it off. He said, "Next time, don't follow crying babies." They walked back to the ATV. Pig mask threw the tire iron into a bag. Plain white mask lit a cigarette. The red glow under his eye holes. The engine revved. Headlights turned. They drove off into the dark. And then we were alone. No phones, no wallets, no car keys, no tent. Just the dark and the silence and the smell of cheap cigarettes on the ground. I saw a pack of Marlboro Reds dropped near the tire tracks. Liam looked at me. His face was white. He said we had to walk. I said I couldn't. He said we didn't have a choice. So anyway, we walked. 2 hours, maybe more. My ankles swelled inside my shoe. Liam held me up. We found a highway. A trucker stopped. Old guy named Frank. He gave us water and let us use his phone. Police took a report at a small station. The officer wrote everything down. Then he drove out to the site. Came back an hour later. No ATV tracks, no speaker, no masks. No tire iron. No pack of cigarettes. He said probably kids. A prank. He said we should be more careful where we camp. I looked at Liam. He didn't say anything. We got the Explorer towed. The tires were slashed. All four. They found it parked where we left it. A week later, I was alone in our apartment. Liam was at work. I was making coffee. It was 2 a.m. I couldn't sleep. I never could after that night. Then I heard it, a baby crying, outside the window. I walked to the window, slow. My ankle still hurt. I pulled the curtain. Nothing, just the street, the neighbor's porch light. But the sound didn't stop. It moved, from the window to the front door, from the door to the bedroom, from the bedroom to the closet. I called Liam. He answered on the first ring. I asked if he heard it too. He said, "Hear what?" Then he went quiet. He said, "I hear it now." Outside my work, in the parking lot. I asked what we should do. He said, "I don't know. But it's getting closer." The crying stopped. Then the speaker crackled. Then a man's voice. "Found you.